Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for breaking up with my fiancée for telling her best friend she was not engaged? With update, my now ex-fiancée, 30F, and me, M27, got engaged 3 weeks ago. We've been dating for 5 years, and I finally got the money to give her the wedding she wanted. Well, 3 days ago we were discussing our guest list, and I asked if she wanted to invite her best friend. Let's call him James, M30. James lives in another state, but since they were friends for 10 years, I thought I could even pay for his travel expenses, since it would be great to have her best friend at the wedding. She denied, saying that it would take a lot of work to bring him, and she wanted it to be a family event. Countless times she mentioned that James was like family to her, so I insisted. She got annoyed and said I didn't even told him we were engaged. That took me by surprise. I tried to ask why, but she started stonewalling me, and I left her alone. After a couple of hours, I tried to ask her again why she haven't told him we were engaged, and she still refused to tell me. And I admit, my insecurity got the better of me. In the past, James had confessed he had feelings for her, which she turned down and basically friend-zoned him. But by the way she told me, it always sounded like she had him as a backup, something not only me, but her exes realized. She married him online. They always made their WoW characters look like a couple, like wearing the same transmog and shit like that. When she had a fight with her exes, he was always there for her and etc. I told her that made me uncomfortable, and if she was not planning to tell him, she might as well consider herself single, cause I would not marry someone who can't be honest. Yes, I was pretty immature, but she did something even more immature. She texted him while showing me her phone something like, "Hey, just so you know, I was engaged, but not anymore," and send it to him. I told her to pack her things and leave my house. Ever since she left, she has been calling me, but I refused to answer. My mom called me because she apparently called my mom and said that I was an asshole for ending things for such a ridiculous thing. So, am I the bad person? Update. We met at a coffee shop on the premise. We would discuss how to save our relationship. At least, that's what she thought. As soon as we sat down, I asked to see their messages. She got defensive immediately and told me she had deleted everything. I asked to see her phone anyway. She started to cry. Ugly cry. Asking me to stop. At that point I had already decided I was not going to be part of the relationship anymore. But damn, I was curious. It took a good 20 minutes for her to hand me her phone. A lot of crying. Even a waitress asking her if she was okay. So I read the messages. There wasn't any cheating like nudes being exchanged, them professing their love for each other. But what I read still stung. There was a lot of shit talking about me. A lot. Texts and texts of them, saying how terrible of a person I was, criticizing my hobbies. I like video games and pro wrestling. Saying I wasn't a real man because of them, and stuff like that. But there were 2 topics that caught my eye. One where she had told him I was having trouble getting hard, and that was frustrating for her. And one where she was complaining about how she didn't want to be stuck in our relationship. Yes, I was having problems in bed, because I was sad because my father had passed away 6 months ago. And the stuck thing. I remember telling her that when we got married, if she wanted she could leave her job, and I would provide for both of us. I don't know if she took this the wrong way, but I guess it was related to that. I honestly don't know. By the time I gave her the phone back, she was already giving excuses on why she was saying those things to him. How he was like a therapist for her. And then she asked me, "Don't you complain about me to your friends?" And I simply replied, "No, I don't." She started crying again. I took a pretty deep breath and just said, "Just give me the ring back." I didn't have the ring with me, like some suggested. She hesitated a bit, but gave it to me anyway. I stood up and asked her to delete my number and to not bother me anymore. I called her mom and asked her to pick up her daughter's stuff at my place. Her mom is a good person. I'm just realizing I'm going to miss her as I write this. She understood why I decided to end it, but she didn't ask much, And to be honest, I'm glad she didn't. As for my mom, I didn't call her. I just blocked her for things unrelated to this post. I just realized she never had my back in anything. I was always trying to save an already failed mom-son relationship. Before I leave, I just want to clarify. I was never against her having male friends, or any type of friends. People are going to cheat, friends or no friends. I remember my dad saying something to me when I was a teenager. He always said, opportunity makes the thief. But I do not agree with that. Anyway, since I have the next 2 weeks off work, I'm going to figure what to do with the wedding money. Drink some booze, play games, and watch Monday Night Raw later. Peace. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for separating my finances from my husband because he keeps lending money to his parents? We've been together for over 9 years, and until this year, the thought of separating our finances never even crossed my mind. I'm generally frugal, and he's more of a spender. In the beginning, it didn't bother me, as we had 2 incomes, and even though we weren't rich, life was comfortable. His family often borrowed money from us, and they rarely paid it back. Personally, I don't lend money to anyone, not even family, but I never stopped him from doing it. A few years into our marriage, my husband was in a serious accident, and since then, he hasn't been able to work. As a result, I became the sole breadwinner. Recently, after 4 long years, he was finally approved for disability benefits. During those years, our savings were depleted, and we were on the brink of losing everything. Our debts kept piling up, and there was nothing I could do about it. When he finally received a back payment for the entire time he'd been waiting for disability benefits, I asked him for just one thing: to pay off his car loan, for which I had already paid over $45,000 in the last few years, and maybe save some of the money. He did neither of these things. Instead, he blew through the cash, lent $8,000 to his family, and didn't contribute a cent to our debts. Meanwhile, I had managed to save a bit from my salary, but it wasn't much. My plan was to save enough to pay off some of our debts. He knew I was saving for this purpose. About a month ago, I noticed that $600 had disappeared from our savings account. I asked him what happened, and he admitted he lent it to his parents. I asked when they'd pay it back, because I needed it soon for bills, and he replied that he didn't know when they'd be able to. I was furious, not just because of the money, but because he didn't ask me. We didn't discuss it. He acted behind my back, knowing I'd be mad, and would have said no. We had a huge fight, and I hoped that after that he'd stop, but he didn't. Yesterday, I checked our account and saw another $900 missing. Again, it went to his parents. I'm beyond angry. I told him that I was done with his parents. I'll pay half of the bills, buy groceries, and that's it. If he wants to give all his disability payments to his parents, fine. But I'm not going to work 60 hours a week just for him to give our money away. So, AITA for going to the bank, withdrawing all the money I had saved, and opening a new account that he has no access to. He says I'm being an asshole, and that I should want his parents to be happy. I'd love to see them happy, but I'm not willing to fund it with my own well-being. What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for telling my sister that her child isn't special, and we don't have to plan every family gathering around him? I'm 27, and my sister is a few years older with a 2-year-old son. Ever since she had her child, everything in our family seems to revolve around him. I get that she's excited as a new mom, and that her life has changed, but it's starting to really get on my nerves. Every single family gathering we have is planned solely around her child. If we're organizing a holiday, it has to fit his nap schedule. If we choose a location, it has to be kid-friendly. The food always has to include something safe for him, even if the rest of us would prefer something else. I can't even have normal conversations with my family anymore, because they always end up turning into discussions about her kid, what he did, how he acted, how the doctor's appointment went, or what new word he learned. Every story my sister tells seems to conclude with the idea that her son is the most amazing, extraordinary child ever. I'm happy for her, but it feels like everyone else in the family has become background noise in her child-centered show. A few days ago, I suggested we all go out for dinner one evening at a restaurant, so we could finally have some adult time. Just relax and talk without constantly worrying about her son's needs. My sister immediately shot it down, saying it didn't fit with her son's schedule because his bedtime routine includes a bath, dinner, and then sleep. This wasn't the first time plans got rejected for that reason, but this time I decided to speak up. I told her that her child isn't the center of the universe and that we don't need to plan every single family gathering around his schedule. I suggested that maybe she could come to just one event on her own and leave the child with her husband or a babysitter so we could enjoy some time without any limitations. She flipped out. She said I was heartless, that I don't understand how hard it is to be a mother, and that I'm an ungrateful sibling who doesn't appreciate her sacrifices. She claimed I treat her child like a burden, when for her, he's the most important person in her life. Since then, we haven't spoken, and now my parents are saying I went too far and that I should apologize because being a parent is a huge responsibility. And my sister has every right to expect support. On one hand, I understand that her child is her priority, but on the other, I feel like this has gone too far, and that as a family, we shouldn't constantly have to give up our plans and enjoyment just because her kid has a schedule. Am I really the asshole for wanting to occasionally have a normal family gathering without always catering to the needs of a toddler? Am I the bad person? You've sat down. You've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it going to be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.